Let's do the Sunday Times. And Rosie Duffield is quitting the Labour Party as Starmer continues his tireless quest to alienate absolutely everybody, Steve.
Yep, Rosie Duffield sleaze, nepotism and greed. Why I'm quitting Labour. Oh, looks like someone didn't get bought any dresses. But this is not it. I mean, Rosie Duffield resigned as a Labour MP, blaming Starmer's cruel and unnecessary policies and the freebies thing. Two things being blamed. It's not like they've been getting on for a while. You know, if this were a marriage, we'd be like, yeah, sorry, it was on the cards, wouldn't it? And she timed it well as well, because, I mean, it's not like Labour cares numbers-wise. With the majority they got, they were suspending people left, right and centre for looking at them the wrong way a while ago. And it's interesting that in an interview about not voting against the cut to the winter fuel allowance, that she abstained rather than voted against it, saying you're just going to get suspended and you might want to hang around to vote on an issue that means something to you, and for that we read trans issues, women's issues. But now she's out because if you'd have been suspended, it wouldn't have been news. But to be the first to hold now the record as the fastest MP to jump ship after a general election, this has scored some points.
I think that's cynical, though, Steve, the way you look. I mean, I think Rosie Duffield's a person of great integrity, and she was absolutely brutal in what she said. She said the sleaze, nepotism and apparent avarice are off the scale. I'm so ashamed of what you and your inner circle have done to tarnish and humiliate our once proud party. That is pretty strong stuff, Leo.
Yeah.
Sounds like one of my tweets about Starmer.
And I think she probably wanted to quit before the election, but she also wanted to get elected, and she wanted to cause, damage to Labour, because I mean, I can't believe how badly Labour are doing. Never mind a honeymoon period. I mean, they just went straight. It was like Britney Spears getting married. Like straight to the divorce.
Like just the flight. Yeah. It was one EasyJet flight was the honeymoon.
Yeah. And it didn't land anywhere near the place they were going. Yeah, I mean, Keir Starmer, considering he ran for election on this platform of like, oh, I'm the most unimpeachable, the most pious, the best person. There's going to be no sleaze. I'm a pure, selfless public servant. And then also we're going to have the most efficient, effective managerial. There's going to be no more chaos. And we've just had chaos after sleaze after chaos, and it's amazing to watch. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, and the other sense I got from the piece was that a lot of MPs or Labour Party people secretly feel this way. She's come forward and said it. Yeah. She hinted that more feel that way, and that Starmer's just completely detached from his party and just doesn't care what they think, and he just seems incredibly out of touch.
Yeah, I mean, I am surprised that anyone could not see this coming. If you knew in that wardrobe you got like 16 grand's worth of suits, you'd probably shut up about wallpaper. That's what I would have done about it. Yeah. But somehow he didn't spot that he didn't join the dots.
Yeah, and he keeps saying, like, look, I took that money, or I took those clothes, but I'm being completely open and transparent about it, and that's all there is. Then the next day there's another 16 grand or another thing. There's always another thing, and he isn't being open and transparent. And I think people don't trust him anymore.
No, and it's exposing the flaws in his character. I mean, it would happen. If you had that amount of scrutiny on you as Prime Minister, your character's going to be there for the world to see. People would realise I'm just a nice guy who's funny and smart. But Keir Starmer, they're realising he's kind of got a facade persona. Then there's the real Keir that we're getting to know now. Kind of a Patrick Bateman figure, maybe. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know. Let's do the Sunday Telegraph. And another story about the left eating itself. It's heartbreaking to see, but someone has to cover it, Steve.
Labour's private school raid risks forcing out ethnic minority families, according to Candice Braithwaite, who fears this government tax hike could stop social mobility. And the thinking is, it says here, that there are ethnic minority families working hard, working extra jobs to pay those school fees, and they might not be able to with VAT added to it. So exactly the same as everyone else. This is the same argument. Why is this a race story? Candice actually says, I appreciate you're extremely privileged to go to private school at all, but kids of colour, give me a break. Why? I mean, literally asking for a break. She said, and for someone like me who's not pulling from that magical pot of gold. So she thinks white people going to fancy schools, pot of gold, it's easy. Children of colour going to these schools. But the more worrying thing about this is it was on BBC's Headliners podcast.
Yeah. I mean, they've obviously nicked that. Yeah. I was hoping you wouldn't mention that, but for legal reasons. Leo, what do you think?
Well, it just shows that Labour don't want to lift up striving families. They don't want to help ethnic minorities. They want to punish people. They want to hold people back. They want us all to be equally communist and destitute and ill-educated.
I know, I've always hated this policy. It's obviously going to just hurt people who don't have that much money.
Yeah.
Labour's like, oh, private school, probably evil, we'll take their money. Is there any good policies they're doing? Returning the sausages, that's the only one. Is there any good policy? It just seems Labour's just getting themselves involved in every aspect of life and ruining everything.
And I think they paint, private schools as something that just, these billionaires send their kids to. And it's not the case. I mean, me and my brother went to state school, but my cousins, who, funnily enough, are mixed race, so they're the ethnic minorities that are being talked about here, like, my auntie and uncle scraped and saved and worked extra jobs to send them to that school, and as a result, they've been much more successful than me and my brother.
I would never guess you went to a state school.
No, I was going to say, when you say mixed race, do you mean half English? Because it sounds like that's what you mean when you say it.
No, it's my uncle's Anglo and my auntie's Saxon. So
nice. Let's do the Independent before we get in any trouble. And the dark side of tracking your partner's mobile phone. I'm guessing it's tracking your partner's mobile phone, Leo.
yeah, exactly. So this is about tracking apps like Find My Friends, or it should be called Stalk My Wife. So only a few years ago, it says, tracking apps sounded like something out of a dystopian BBC drama, but today they're fairly commonplace. They do still sound like something out of a dystopian drama, but a 2019 survey found that 40% of parents and guardians use GPS tracking for their children on a daily basis. I think I'm going to start doing it too. And people use it for their friends, they use it for their partners as well. It can be an expression of affection and concern. You can see when you're...
It can be, you're on it.
Yeah, you can see, did your husband walk past that brothel, or did he go in? No, you can see if he's going to be late for dinner, so you know when to burn it, so you can get angry. When he gets home, you can check if they got to their hotel safely for their orgy. But it's creating this sort of sense of paranoia as well, which it should do. I mean, I would never use one of these tracking apps for my wife. If I ever let her out of her cage, I would just trust her to go where she wants to go.
The couple interviewed in here, one of them says, it helps us have, like, special surprises, because you know when she's about to arrive at home to put the plate on. How can you have a special surprise? She'll know which shop you went to buy anything. You're being tracked. I know this is in The Independent, but it was a couple of weeks ago, there was a thing in the Times that said, should it be a red light if your partner... And I was thinking... tracks where you are. It was refuses to have the tracking app. We've flipped it around that much that now it's a red flag if you're not being geolocated permanently. It's a terrifying world. I think the only way to have it is if you promise that as soon as this causes one row, it gets deleted. Because I guarantee you at some point there'll be a, what were you doing there? Delete. That's it. As soon as you start the row.
Yeah.
You just got to go off grid and have no girlfriend. That's all we've got time for. Thanks to Leo and Steve. Let's have another quick look at Sunday's front pages. So the Sunday Times has Israel strikes huge blow but braces for revenge. The Sunday Express has Kemi's vow to stop the boats. The Observer goes with Iran threatens vengeance over Hezbollah's chief's assassination. The Sunday Telegraph, Labour MP quits over freebies scandal. The Sunday People has UK cops join P. Diddy probe. And finally, the Daily Star, on Sunday, beware spiders in your Grundies. No doubt that was to do with boffins. Those are your front pages. That's it for tonight's show. We're back tomorrow at 11 p.m. If you're watching at 5 a.m, then, of course, stay tuned for breakfast. But for now, it's good night, good morning, and God bless.